You won't believe the emotional journey we're about to take. The world has lost a legend, but this story is one filled with family, faith, and music that shaped generations. Let me tell you how the life of Cissy Houston, the matriarch of the Houston family, came to a peaceful end after a long, silent battle with Alzheimer's disease. But here's the shocking part. Her passing wasn't just the end of a life. It was the closing of an era in music that had influenced so many people across the world. You see, Cissy's story is so much more than her final days. It's a story of sacrifice, triumph, and above all, family. Cissy Houston, a woman known for her powerful voice and strong presence, passed away on October 7th, 2025, at the age of 91. After years of dealing with Alzheimer's, she died in the comfort of her own home while receiving hospice care, surrounded by family. The world was filled with sorrow at her loss, but Dionne Warwick, her niece, shared a message of gratitude on social media that offered a glimpse of peace amid the sadness. I'm so deeply saddened, however, knowing that my aunt died peacefully and that she is in a much better place is a consolation and comfort to me, Dionne wrote to her 622,000 followers. Her words, filled with love and gratitude, reflected the deep bond between the two. Though the pain of losing such a beloved family member was undeniable, Dionne's message reminded everyone that Cissy's journey was one that ended in peace. But here's where it gets interesting. Cissy was not just another famous name in the music world. She was a true pioneer. She wasn't just Whitney Houston's mother. She was an influential figure in her own right. Cissy's roots in music went way back to the gospel group The Drinker Singers, a family ensemble that was a big part of shaping gospel music in the 1950s and 1960s. Imagine this. Before Cissy was known for her collaborations with the biggest names in music, she was a part of a gospel group that performed at legendary venues like Carnegie Hall and recorded one of the first major live gospel albums. This wasn't just a woman who got by in the shadow of her famous daughter. No, Cissy carved her own path long before Whitney ever became a household name. Her career was nothing short of extraordinary. Cissy's powerful voice not only earned her a place in gospel history, but also led her to work with icons like Aretha Franklin, Elvis Presley, and Dusty Springfield. Through it all, she stayed true to her roots. What makes this story different is that Cissy, along with her family, laid the foundation for an entire musical dynasty. She didn't just create a career for herself. She helped build the platform for her nieces, Dionne and Dee Dee Warwick, and later her daughter, Whitney. The legacy Cissy left behind was one of unbreakable bonds, hard work, and immense talent. But it wasn't just the music that made Cissy stand out, it was her heart. She was known for her deep faith, her love for family, and her belief in community. In her final years, Cissy's life was marked by love and faith. Her daughter-in-law, Pat Houston, who was by her side during those final moments, spoke about how Cissy had been a towering figure in their lives. Mother was a woman of deep faith and conviction who cared greatly about family, ministry, and community, Pat said. For Cissy, life was about more than just performing. It was about making a difference, touching lives, and helping others see the value in family and faith. But here's where it all takes a heartbreaking twist. Cissy wasn't just losing her own battle with Alzheimer's. She had already faced so many painful losses in her life. Her daughter Whitney, one of the most celebrated singers in history, had passed away years earlier, leaving a hole in Cissy's heart that could never truly be healed. And then, just a few years after Whitney's passing, Cissy lost her granddaughter, Bobby Christina Brown. Bobby Christina, who had also faced her own struggles, died tragically at the age of 22, a loss that deeply impacted Cissy. Now, as we reflect on the end of Cissy's life, we can't help but feel the weight of the loss, not only of a music icon, but of a mother and grandmother whose heart had been shattered in ways most can't imagine. What makes this all even harder to believe is that despite the pain, Cissy never lost her sense of love or faith. Even through all the grief, she never stopped supporting her family. As we look back on her life, we can see that her strength was what held the family together, even in the most difficult moments. But in the end, destiny took an unexpected turn, and Cissy's time came quietly, peacefully, after a long battle, surrounded by family and love. It wasn't just the loss of a legend, it was the loss of a woman who had touched so many lives in ways that will forever be remembered. It's hard to truly capture the magnitude of Cissy Houston's legacy. As we dive deeper into her life, you'll start to realize that her story isn't just about her own career. It's about how she helped shape the future of music, her role in building a family dynasty, and how, even in her final days, she remained a beacon of strength and grace. Let me tell you, the world may have lost an icon, but what she left behind is nothing short of extraordinary. Cissy's musical career was far from typical. While many people think of her only in connection with her daughter Whitney or as a backup singer for the likes of Aretha Franklin and Elvis Presley, Cissy was much more than just a supporting player. She was a trailblazer, one of the original members of the Drinker Singers, a gospel group that not only showcased her exceptional voice, but also paved the way for future generations of gospel singers. Imagine this. Long before Cissy's name became known worldwide, she was already making history. The Drinker Singers performed at prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall and recorded one of the first live gospel albums with a major record label. This wasn't just any gospel group, it was one of the most influential ensembles in shaping gospel and soul music. And Cissy's voice was at the very heart of it all. But what's even more impressive is how she used her platform to elevate others. Through her work with the Sweet Inspirations, she became one of the most sought-after background vocalists of the 1960s and 1970s. The group was behind some of the greatest hits of that era, providing vocals for artists like Dusty Springfield, Wilson Pickett, and Aretha Franklin. Cissy wasn't just a backup singer. She was the voice that made those hits unforgettable. What makes this story different is the way she did all of this with humility, never looking for the spotlight, but always giving her best to make the music shine. And then there's the connection to her family. Cissy's relationship with her nieces, Dionne and D.D. Warwick, was not just a family bond, it was a professional partnership that helped launch their own careers. Dionne Warwick, one of the most iconic voices of the 20th century, got her start in music alongside Cissy. Together, they formed an unstoppable force, helping each other through the ups and downs of the music industry. What makes this part of the story so remarkable is the sense of unity and love that kept this family going. Through both the highs of their success and the lows of their personal struggles. But let's take a moment to talk about how Cissy's influence spread beyond her own family. Her vocal range, her ability to connect with listeners on a deep emotional level, earned her the respect of some of the greatest artists in the world. People like Bette Midler, David Bowie, and Carly Simon sought her out to add her unique touch to their music. It wasn't just about singing, it was about how she could make a song come alive. And the craziest part, even after decades in the music business, she was still able to work with some of the biggest stars in the world, proving that her talent had no expiration date. She wasn't just a part of music history, she helped create it. Her career wasn't just about the music she made, it was about the way she touched the lives of the people around her. Cissy's daughter-in-law, Pat Houston, spoke about how Cissy was a woman of deep faith and conviction, someone who was always ready to lend a helping hand to those in need. She cared greatly about family, ministry, and community, Pat shared, highlighting how Cissy's influence extended beyond the music world. Through her charity work, her time spent helping others, and her devotion to her family, Cissy's life was a testament to the importance of kindness and love. But here's where the story takes another twist. For all her success, Cissy never allowed herself to be consumed by fame. She stayed grounded, focused on her family, her faith, and the music she loved. She could have easily lived in the spotlight forever, but instead, she chose to stay true to her roots, always looking to give back to the community that supported her. Cissy's humility made her even more beloved by those who knew her, and it's this combination of humility and greatness that makes her story so unique. As we reflect on her life, we realize that Cissy Houston wasn't just a singer, she was a force that helped shape the very fabric of music itself. Her influence is felt in the voices of countless artists, both those who came before her and those who followed. But it wasn't just her talent that made her special. It was the way she used her gift to elevate those around her, to create an environment of support, love, and respect. As we continue to explore Cissy Houston's incredible journey, there are moments that stand out, moments that showcase her true impact, not just on music, but on the world around her. There's a side to Cissy that most people didn't fully understand. While her career was full of chart-topping hits and unforgettable performances, the heart of her story is about how she gave more than just her voice. It's about how she gave her time, her energy, and her heart to those she loved, and how that love shaped everything she did. And let me tell you, what comes next in her story is nothing short of extraordinary. We often think of Cissy in terms of her musical achievements, and rightly so. But what makes her story so unique is the way she navigated the world of fame while maintaining her values and her connection to her roots. Her ability to balance the bright lights of the entertainment world with the quiet moments of family life is what truly set her apart. While she was known for her powerful collaborations with the world's biggest stars, Cissy never let the fame get to her head. She remained deeply rooted in her faith and her family, always prioritizing the people she loved above the accolades and the applause. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Despite her success, Cissy was never one to shy away from speaking her truth, especially when it came to her daughter, Whitney. In 2013, Cissy wrote a memoir titled Remember Whitney: My Story of Love, Loss, and the Night the Music Stopped. The book was a deeply personal account of her life with Whitney, revealing a side of her daughter that the public never saw. Whitney, Cissy revealed, was not the troubled star the media often portrayed her to be. Instead, she was a loving, kind-hearted woman who had her flaws just like anyone else. Cissy shared how her daughter, despite all the challenges she faced, was always generous, always kind, and always loving. This was where the story took another emotional twist. Cissy's words in the memoir were a defense of Whitney, showing the world that she was more than just a headline or a tabloid story. Cissy wanted the world to know that her daughter had been a beautiful, giving soul who was misunderstood by the public. And here's the shocking part. This memoir was not just a way for Cissy to tell her side of the story. It was a way for her to ensure that her daughter's memory would be preserved in the way she deserved. But there's something even more surprising here. Despite all the heartbreak and the pain of losing Whitney at such a young age, Cissy never let the tragedy define her. Instead, she chose to focus on the legacy of love and strength that Whitney had left behind. Cissy wasn't just mourning her daughter. She was celebrating her life and ensuring that the world would remember Whitney for the amazing woman she truly was. This, in a way, was Cissy's final act of motherhood, a gift to her daughter that would last far beyond her own life. Now, as we take a deeper look at Cissy's life, we begin to understand just how much her strength had shaped her family. Through all the challenges, the losses, and the heartache, Cissy remained a constant source of support. But it wasn't just her daughter Whitney who benefited from Cissy's wisdom and guidance. Her entire family did. Dionne Warwick, her niece, often spoke about how Cissy had been a mentor to her, both in music and in life. The two women shared a bond that went beyond family. They were collaborators, partners in music, and most importantly, sisters in spirit. And Dionne, despite her own fame, always spoke of Cissy with the utmost respect and admiration, not just for her musical talent, but for her unshakable faith and integrity. And here's where it gets even more profound. Cissy's influence extended far beyond her own family and the music industry. She was a deeply spiritual woman, and her faith was the cornerstone of everything she did. For Cissy, music wasn't just about performance, it was about connection, healing, and expression. She believed that music could touch the soul and uplift people, and she used her gift to do just that. Whether she was singing in church or in a recording studio, Cissy poured her heart into every note. And her commitment to using music as a means of spreading love and healing wasn't just a belief, it was a way of life. But there's one final twist in Cissy's journey that really brings everything together. After years of watching her family endure tragedy, after the death of her daughter Whitney and the heartbreaking loss of her granddaughter Bobby Christina, Cissy finally reached a point where she could let go. She had done everything she could for her family, her music, and her community. And in her final days, she was able to say goodbye, knowing that she had given everything she had. The family that Cissy built, the legacy she had created, and the love she shared with everyone around her would live on forever. As we arrive at the final chapter of Cissy Houston's remarkable journey, we can't help but reflect on the legacy she leaves behind, not just as a singer, but as a matriarch, a mentor, and a woman of unshakable faith. Her life wasn't defined by the spotlight or the applause she received on stage. It was defined by the way she loved, the way she supported her family, and the way she used her gift of music to heal and inspire others. Now, let me tell you, as we come to the end of her story, we uncover just how deeply Cissy's influence continues to resonate today and how it will continue to do so for generations to come. You won't believe the power of the impact Cissy Houston had on the music world. She may not have always been in the headlines like her daughter Whitney or her niece Dionne Warwick, but Cissy was the foundation of their success. Without her, there would be no Whitney Houston, no Dionne Warwick, no drinker singers or sweet inspirations. Cissy laid the groundwork for a dynasty that would forever change the face of music. In fact, many of the greatest voices in history, people like Aretha Franklin, Elvis Presley, and Dusty Springfield, benefited from Cissy's extraordinary vocal talents. What makes this part of her story even more amazing is how she gave so much of herself to others, always staying behind the scenes, lifting others up without ever seeking recognition for herself. But here's where it gets even more surprising. You see, while Cissy was incredibly talented, she didn't need the fame or the spotlight. She wasn't in it for the glory, she was in it for the love of the music, for the connection it gave her to others, and for the joy it brought to her family. The craziest part of this whole story is that Cissy, despite all her accomplishments, remained humble and focused on what truly mattered: family, faith, and community. She could have easily lived a life of luxury, staying in the spotlight, but instead, she chose to live a life grounded in love and service. Her life was a true testament to the power of humility and love over fame and fortune. Now, here's where it gets even more poignant. Cissy's passing marked the end of an era, yes, but it also opened up a new chapter for the Houston family and for the world. In her final years, surrounded by the family she had built, Cissy was able to rest knowing she had fulfilled her purpose. She had lived a full, rich life, a life that had touched the hearts of so many. But the story doesn't end with her death. Her music continues to echo in the hearts of millions. Her lessons continue to inspire those who knew her, and her influence continues to shape the world of music today. It's often said that the true measure of a person's life isn't in what they achieve, but in the lives they touch along the way. Cissy Houston's legacy is a testament to that truth. The people she impacted, the lives she changed, and the music she created are her real legacy. The beautiful thing is that even though she's no longer with us, her influence is as powerful as ever. Whether you listen to one of her iconic songs, read about her incredible journey, or reflect on the lessons she taught, Cissy Houston's presence is still very much alive. And what makes this story so special is that Cissy's legacy isn't just about the past, it's about the future too. Her children, her nieces, and even the generations to come will continue to carry the torch she lit so many years ago. Cissy didn't just create a family of musicians. She created a family of love, resilience, and faith. And that's what will continue to inspire the world for years to come. But there's one final twist in this incredible story. When Cissy passed away, she wasn't just a mother, a singer, or a mentor. She was the heart and soul of a family that had faced tremendous heartache and loss. Her passing may have been the end of her journey, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter for those she left behind. Her children, her nieces, and her grandchildren now carry her spirit, her values, and her love forward. And as they continue to create, to sing, and to live their lives, they will always remember that it was Cissy Houston who showed them the way. And that's where the story takes another unexpected turn. Cissy's life, her struggles, her triumphs, everything she went through was part of a larger plan, a legacy that's bigger than any one person. Her influence is far-reaching, and her story is still unfolding. Even though she's no longer here, her voice lives on in the music she created and the lives she touched. The family she built continues to carry her legacy, and the lessons she imparted are still being passed down.